today's episode of Care Sandwich. I am excited to introduce you to my next guest, a personal injury law firm managing partner who has taken the reins of his marketing, and he's going to tell us all about what that looks like in just a few moments. First, check out this video. Welcome to Care Sandwich, the podcast where we dive into the success journeys of law firm owners across the country. I'm Margarita Everline, your host and the founder of Marketing Boss, a fractional chief marketing officer firm for law firms. On this show, we'll explore the challenges, strategies, and victories that have shaped law firms and how they wrap every interaction with care. Because we believe that caring isn't just a value, it's a strategy for success. So grab your favorite sandwich, sit back, and let's dig into a conversation filled with insight, inspiration, and of course, a lot of care. Hello. Welcome back. I am going to ask our special guest to join us here on the virtual stage. Hunter
Hello.
Garnett, you are with a personal injury law firm. Where are you located? Tell us all about yourself.
I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. So I grew up about 45 minutes from here. I just opened a second office a little closer to my hometown. Just a little bit about myself personally. I grew up as the oldest of seven, my family's farm. I studied agriculture in college, thought really wanted to be a farmer, just like my grandpa. But the Lord had different plans. He opened some doors. I faithfully walked through them. Never thought I'd be a lawyer. Definitely didn't think I'd be a personal injury lawyer. But here I am. And I am firmly convinced that I'm living in God's will and that this is what he wanted for me the whole time. I could not have designed a better plan myself. And so, I wake up every day excited to go to work, and my mission is to help as many good people as possible.
I love that. That is amazing. What a legacy. I am curious, what do you love the most about personal injury, and how is it aligned with your values and your faith?
I like helping real people. I grew up in a rural community. I didn't know any lawyers when I went to law school. And so most of the people that are still in my community, I'm the only attorney that they know. So I started to get cases pretty quickly as a young lawyer. And I just found that I could speak my client's language. Most of my clients are hardworking, have family values. They typically live in a rural community, and they're just my kind of people. I affectionately refer to them as Bubba and Tammy. And when my favorite part of my job is when Bubba and Tammy walks into my office, they've got this huge weight and burden on their shoulders. And when they leave my office, I've taken as much of that burden as possible off of them and put it on my shoulders and my team's shoulders. And I tell them that's what we're built for. And I feel like it's a superpower. I feel like it's such a blessing to get to come into people's lives when they're going through one of the hardest things they've ever dealt with.
I love that. And now I completely get why your seat at the firm as a partner is to focus on the marketing, because I feel like a lot of people don't realize how important it is to have an emotional connection with what in marketing terms we call your target avatar, your ideal client, your client persona. Those are all the different terms for what you just described. Where when you have a sense in your heart, in your mind of who you're trying to help, then you can really tap into how they feel, which then helps you tap into what they need you to say during their crisis, which you mean you help people that are in crisis, so that they understand that you are the attorney for them. So walk us through what it looks like to apply this wisdom that you have about who your clients are and this connection that you have with your community, with the actual practicality of leading your marketing at your firm.
So I think that you've identified what the first step in really any marketing plan should be, right? Is identify your ideal client. But in order to know who your ideal client is, you have to know your story. And so I spend quite a bit of time journaling. I really reflect on what makes me who I am, what my values are, what makes me different than other attorneys. And that's my story, and it ties into my why. And it also ties into my who we want to help. And so for any business owner, as they build their marketing plan, those are kind of the steps. And for some people, we might be, it's not unusual to be 30, 40 years old before you figure out your purpose with what you do.
Mm.
I didn't know what I wanted to do until I was already doing it. And I found my purpose strictly by coincidence. And I'm all the time kind of peeling that onion back to better understand, um, like why God put me in this position. And so that's kind of my story. I think that's an important part of what I do is that my story's out there. My story's all over Facebook. It's all over
Hmm.
TikTok. It's in every time I have a consultation with a client. I typically tangle my story into the consultation so that by the end of the consultation they know why I'm doing this, and it helps us build an authentic trust that lasts for months or years, however long it takes me to resolve their case. And it does away with a lot of the friction. A lot of people that when they come in to meet with a lawyer, they don't trust you uh, until you earn their trust. So I
Hmm.
spend about an hour with every new client, telling my story, getting to understand them, building trust, just to make the process as frictionless as possible. And so they follow my recommendation, do what they need to do for us to maximize the value of their case.
And it sounds to me like you are very passionate about what you do and how you're doing it, and that has informed some of your decisions about who your ideal customer is. So like I'll give you an example of something I come across sometimes when I begin to work with a law firm owner and they come to my firm for help with their marketing. They want to talk about strategy. They want to talk about, where do I put $500,000? Where do I put $1 million? Where do I put $50 a day, right? They want to have that conversation. And I always want to have the conversation about, well, tell me about you. Why do you do this? And they think I'm wanting to just chit chat. And I am wanting to chit chat, but I also believe in what you described. If you have a strategy with elements of marketing that you're doing that is informed by who your ideal customer is, and that ideal customer really connects with who you are, I think that just makes it so much easier to grow, to scale, and to attract ideal customers. I can also share a case study where, a law firm owner was insisting that they wanted to go after whoever the most lucrative customer was in their market, but it happened to be a demographic that really they couldn't relate to, they couldn't connect with. So it was tricky to really achieve success with the marketing because they were almost trying to be something they're not, and it almost came across like inauthentic because there just wasn't that alignment. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in, well, I want to work with these types of people, when the biggest opportunity is to work with people that already like what you're about. I would imagine, based on what how you're describing what you do and your vision, that you also attract a lot of people that have the same values as you, and it does set up that stage so that when you do share your story, they want to hear it. Correct?
That's right. And there's people that my story doesn't resonate with,
Mm-hmm.
and they typically aren't calling my firm at all. And so good marketing, I talk about this all the time. Good marketing repulses some people, right? There's people that hear my story and think that's not the right lawyer for me. And by never calling my firm, they save themselves time and they save me time, right? If they
Mm-hmm.
want their attorney to wear a three-piece suit and drive a luxury car, I'm not their guy. My
Yeah.
clients, when they come in, they see cowboy boots propped up on the desk and jeans and probably a denim jacket. If
Yeah.
I come to their house, they're going to see a beat up pickup truck. And that's not for everybody, but it is for my ideal client. And I'll tell you a story. So one of my friends was literally just here. He's my last appointment before I got on this call. He's an attorney. He doesn't do a good job of marketing himself. And I
Mm-hmm.
asked him, like, what's your why? Like, why are you making good money? Like, why do you wake up every day excited to do what you do?
Mm-hmm.
And he thought for a second. He played college baseball, and he's a competitor. He's a gladiator. He likes putting on the shield and the armor and drawing his sword, and he likes going to battle. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's certain clients who that's what they want. Like that's not the
Yeah.
type of client I want to attract. Um, so anyway, that's just an example of like my why and his why are very different, and we have different types of clients that are going to be attracted to that.
I love that. And I think sometimes law firm owners are afraid of turning people off. And so they hide and like not in a deceitful way, but they play down who they really are, not because they're not trying to be themselves, but because they don't want to offend somebody or I think what you just described is that that can actually be an advantage to maybe repel people that are not aligned with what you're about, to really open up the floodgates with people that like and are excited about what you have to offer. Now, walk us through, how do you compete then with, the other types of attorneys in your space that maybe are, doing different things and are getting out there as far as visibility? What has been your, some of your takeaways as far as your marketing strategy that works for a firm your size with your values?
Well, I just tell my story as often as I can.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty simple formula to have successful marketing. You gotta be a good person, know your story, get comfortable with self promotion, and then figure out how to distribute. And distribution is kind of where we're at now. We know our story, we know our people. I'm comfortable promoting myself, and so our focus now is just on distributing that message, getting as many eyeballs on it, as generating as much attention as much attention as possible for as little money as possible. And so I found TikTok to be really helpful. My organic Facebook stuff's pretty good through my personal Facebook page,
Mm-hmm.
and then of course Google Business Profile drives a lot of leads. We have tinkered with some pay-per-click campaigns. We're going to start running some YouTube ads, some paid search stuff on YouTube. Um, but really, referrals are king. Referrals always will be king. And I think about referrals like a bullseye. Okay. And so you've
Mm-hmm.
got like your outer ring of people that have never heard of you, and they can't refer to you because they don't even know who you are. And as you get closer to the bullseye, you've got your super fans. Okay. Your people that when they hear accident or injury, they go out of their way to be an advocate for your firm. Those are where most of our cases come from, is super fans. And so a lot of what I do is just maintaining close relationships and being intentional with people and keeping super fans on our team, but
Yeah.
also turning fans into super fans, clients, medical providers, just people in the community, youth baseball. That's what I'm doing right now, is sponsoring baseball teams this time of year, high school coaches, principals, youth pastors, influential leaders in our community. We want them on our team.
That's smart. So I heard social media, and I know backstage we were talking about SEO a little bit, and then community outreach. So those are your main marketing channels that are working for you now?
Yeah, referrals. Yes.
And yes, of course. And then the referrals. Absolutely. Yeah, I think referrals are a foundation for any law firm that has a uh, a good like reputation as far as you put quality of your service first. You're going to get referrals. Some might say that referrals can be unpredictable, meaning some days you get them, some days you don't. So that's why it's important to do other things. And it sounds like you're doing that. You're doing your community outreach, you're doing social. What's in store for you for the future? What are some of your goals that you're excited about this year?
So, my goals are mostly, I don't like the word scale, but I'm trying to grow my firm enough that I can focus on the things that I really like and enjoy. And I like a lot of things at my firm,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some things that I don't like that I have to do now, and I'm hoping to get those off my plate relatively soon. Um, I will address one thing that you said. I think that where a lot of law firm owners mess up with referrals is
Mm-hmm.
it's not enough anymore to just do good legal work. I can't
Mm-hmm.
tell you how many of my competitors are stuck in the old fashioned ways of just you grind for 20 years, you do good work, and then cases start coming in the door as you get your name out there. As
Mm-hmm.
attention spans have shortened and as the the demand for our attention has grown, you're not as memorable as you think you are.
Yeah.
Just because you did good legal work for somebody 20 years ago does not mean that they're going to call you when there's a catastrophic injury in their family. Since my law partner and I partnered up 4 years ago, I've signed up probably half a dozen cases through my referral networks
Mm-hmm.
that were former clients of his or immediate family members of former clients of his. But because he didn't stay in touch with them and stay top of mind with them, they had forgotten his name. They didn't remember him until they walked in the office and and the light bulb went off. So you have to be intentional with referrals. You have to stay top of mind with them, or else, you're just leaving it all up to chance. I will tell you, referrals are inconsistent, but once you get enough scale and enough volume, it levels out. We're
Mhm.
consistently at 30 referred cases a month at our firm. And yeah, when we were in the single digits, sometimes it'd be 2, sometimes it'd be 10. But once you get up, some pretty significant volume, we're in the 25 to 40 range every month. It becomes pretty consistent.
Yeah, no, and you described something really important that we do see in our line of work as CMOs, where you can make referrals more consistent when you complement a referral strategy with remarketing. So remarketing can be email marketing, it could be social media marketing, it could be phone calls, text messages, a happy birthday, a happy 1-year anniversary for when we closed your case, how's everything going, whatever outreach, it could be community. And I think that's the key. And that really does create some more consistency with referrals as a marketing strategy with remarketing. What you just described is the term we use is remarketing for sure. Now, I've got one more question for you, and actually two. How can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about you and your services, or maybe they're a law firm owner in your area that doesn't handle personal injury? What are some of the best ways to connect with you and your team?
So I'm always glad to connect with other law firm owners. A few things that we didn't talk about today that I like to talk about. I have
Yeah.
a large nearshore team that supports me. My pre-litigation team is mostly nearshore. I'm always glad to talk about that kind of stuff. I'm utilizing AI in a very different way than any other law firm that I have talked to. I don't really have any vendors that I work with. We're mostly just working in-house. I'm always glad to share notes about that kind of stuff. And then marketing. I like talking to anybody that's thinking about starting their firm and wondering where their cases are going to come from. I also enjoy connecting with lawyers that share the same value system as me. So if any of those things interest you, I'm very active on LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm easy to find. I'm in Google. I'm a very easy person to connect with. So yeah.
Love it, love it. And what is your favorite sandwich? We ask every guest that question because the podcast is called Care Sandwich. So that's kind of a fun question for you.
So I'm gonna sound like a dork, but when my wife got pregnant about 18 months ago, we cut out all forms of sugar basically. So we don't eat any simple carbs really. I'll have some bread every once in a while, but rarely. So I think it still counts as a sandwich, but like a lettuce wrap cheeseburger, like I'm a big fan of.
Ooh,
The more
those
meat, the
are
better.
good. Yes, they have those at Five Guys. They do lettuce wraps.
Yeah.
I gave up gluten for a little while completely, and that was my go-to. So that's a good one. Awesome, awesome. Well, there you have it, folks. Get a hold of Hunter Garnett for personal injury in the Alabama area, and he and his team will take good care of you. And if you are a law firm owner and you want to refer some cases, you have his contact info there on the screen. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Care Sandwich. We'll see you on the next one. And Garrett or Hunter, I'll see you backstage.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Care Sandwich. Remember, the way we care for our clients, our teams, and ourselves can make all the difference in our success. Until next time, keep caring, keep growing, and I'll see you on the next episode